Nothing screams Big Ten football quite like Rutgers and the University of Washington. As a Husky fan, I guess I'm going to have to get used to that. And this is our first true road game as a Big Ten school on the road. Big Ten country Rutgers, which doesn't even feel like a Big Ten school itself. Greg Schiano is back at Rutgers for his second stint. And his first stint was maybe one of the best in school history. And they were humming along. I think they were ranked in the top 10 at one point when he was there. But now he's back. The Huskies are heading to Rutgers in a Big Ten matchup on Friday night. And the spread is, believe it or not, a lot of people aren't really familiar with how good Rutgers is right now. Rutgers minus 2.5 and an over-under set at 44.5. Now, a quick pause here. If you are a Huskies fan, you can use the Rebet app in Washington State. It's legal in Washington State and 46 other states to actually bet on this game. The Rebet app is a great social sports book, and you can use real money to bet on the games and win real money to bet on games, point spreads, player props. You can bet on the Huskies minus 2.5 or plus 2.5 at Rutgers and the over under of 44.5. Make sure you download the Rebet app and use promo code ONTAP to actually bet on that. And I also put it in the link in the description below, so you can just download the Rebet app there. Real money, legal in Washington State. The only way you can actually bet on games without going to a sports book, or unless you have an illegal bookie, but you don't want to do that. All right, so back to the game. So the Huskies have now won 8 true road games in a row, and on Friday night, they'll try to make it 9. It's a very tricky situation because you're traveling from West Coast to East Coast, and a lot of people are saying that it's a weird game time. I think it's actually more of a weird game time for Rutgers at 8 o'clock start and the Huskies at a 5 o'clock Pacific time start. But the travel is definitely hard. Anytime you got to take a bunch of kids or college students from the West Coast to the East Coast, play a Friday Night Lights game, it is a little bit difficult. So I do understand why people are saying that. But let's kind of look at some of the numbers. I know a lot of people have been complaining about the Washington Huskies offense. And maybe the offense hasn't looked as good as it did last year. No brainer, right? I mean, come on. We had Ryan Grubb at offensive coordinator. We had Michael Penix Jr., Romo Dunze, Jalen Polk, like we had so many players last year and so many weapons. Of course, our offense is going to be not quite as good at the beginning of this season. So I'm not really worried about that. But despite all of that, Washington ranks second in Big Ten in passing yards so far at 291.8 points, 291.8 yards per game. And that goes along with getting 27 points per game. And Will Rogers, well, he's been pretty good. You can notice he has a quick release. He gets the ball out in a hurry, and he's completing 75% of his passes so far, which is a ridiculous rate. That's how accurate Will Rogers has been. So we shouldn't be complaining too much about the offense, even though it has come off to slow starts. And that pro-style offense of, short passes, long drives, sometimes you feel like the offense isn't exploding, but we're doing just fine. The 27 points per game to me is a little bit low, but the 291.8 passing yards is pretty good. So you'd hope that maybe we can start converting that into more points. 75% completion percentage for Rodgers with 1,000 yards already and 8 passing touchdowns. A pretty good season. Now, the biggest problem for us in the game is stopping Rutgers, in my opinion. Rutgers can run the ball with the best of them. They have a dynamic running back in Kyle, and I'm probably pronouncing his last name wrong, Monanagi, and he is a dynamic and explosive runner. He is their best player. He is the key to this game. He is the person you must stop if you want to look back at the end of this game and say, hey, the Huskies won the football game. So he is a very important person to stop. So if we can control their ground game and not give them opportunities, I think we can come out on top. They're averaging 37.1 points per game, but you got to dig a little deeper into that because their last game, they scored 26 points and beat Virginia Tech 26-23. And a Virginia Tech team, I know they're an ACC team, but they're in a down cycle right now. And their other wins were against Howard and Akron. So yes, Rutgers is 3-0. Yes, Rutgers is pretty good, but they might not be as good as the numbers show. And let's look at the defense. Rutgers is at giving up 15.7 points per game so far throughout the season. The Huskies are giving up 10.3. Both are in the top 20 in the country, with Rutgers being 16th, Huskies being 13th. But the most important thing is we stop the run and make sure that we can control the ball a little bit more. And I think we can make some big plays. I know a lot of people are concerned about the timing of the game. 5 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night in Rutgers. You know the kids are going to be out there just partying it up. It's going to be a pretty good atmosphere, but for the players, an 8 o'clock game, waiting till all the way at 8 o'clock at night in the East Coast to start a football game, I think they could kind of start off slow while the Huskies are playing at a normal time. I told you earlier that the over-under was 44.5. And when I see these numbers on the defense and knowing that they're a run-first team, I definitely lean the under on this game. I think that both teams are going to be running the ball quite a bit. Jonah Coleman's going to get the ball. Kyle Monanagai, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, can get the ball and run the ball, and get stuffed by the Huskies defense. If that happens, I think the Huskies can really take control of this game, play the game the right way, and come out on top. I know this is not your typical Big Ten matchup, and Rutgers has big aspirations with Greg Schiano because their schedule, I think the hardest game left might be Wisconsin. So if they win this game, all of a sudden they're looking at, hey, could we make a run here in the Big Ten? But the Huskies need to win this game because then they got Michigan at home, who's been Jekyll and Hyde, Iowa, Indiana, and we can go into that game versus USC with one loss, possibly. But all hinges on what we do against Rutgers. One thing I want to talk about Rutgers, and I did say they have big aspirations, and I know this is a Huskies video, but I was telling you, yeah, they go after Washington, they play at Nebraska, who's come back down to earth, Wisconsin, UCLA. There are only 2 ranked opponents left on the schedule that are ranked right now. Is at USC, who's 13th in the country, and at Illinois. Illinois is at home, who's 19th in the country. So overall, both teams are playing for really big aspirations here heading into this ball game. It's going to be great, nationally televised. The whole entire country's eyes are going to be on the Huskies because it's going to be the best game on Friday night. I know you got the Miami game, but it's definitely not going to be as close as this game is. So I think all eyes on the Washington Huskies, and that means recruiting. That means the East Coast recruiting, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Florida, like everyone on the East Coast will be tuning into this game. So the Huskies need to give a very big showing. Jed Fish needs to put a statement game out there. And of course, I'm a Husky fan, so you might call me biased, but I said the spread is Rutgers minus 2.5. I definitely lean the Huskies plus 2.5. I take the under as well. I think it's going to be a low-scoring, physical ball game with the Washington Huskies beating Rutgers 24-14 on Friday night. Tune in. Huskies will go improve to 4-1. That Apple Cup is still leaving a sour taste in my mouth, but that's okay. Maybe we can rack up some wins here in the Jed Fish era. As I told you at the beginning, make sure you use the Rebet app to bet on this game with promo code ONTAP so you can receive up to $100 bonus on your first deposit. They match you up to $100. So if you put $10 in, you get $10 for free. If you put $50 for free. If you get $100 for free. But only using promo code ONTAP is that possible, and it's legal in 46 out of 50 states. So make sure you do that. Tune into the game, go Huskies, and hopefully we'll be back either Friday night or Saturday morning with a recap of us beating Rutgers. This has been brought to you by the Sports on Tap and Seattle on Tap. Make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time.